Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I apologize for the delay. We were waiting for our quorum and luckily we do have it. This is the Committee for Persons with Disabilities, December 18th board meeting, and we are beginning. So if we can call to order. Jaime, you've been here in a hot minute. I'm thankful you're here. Can you want to introduce?
Umberto.
Sure. Umberto.
Jaime's here.
Everybody's doing well. So just give a quick intro.
Oh, sure. Umberto Milan, are you member? Please, committee and happy New Year.
District, which district do you represent?
Yeah, see, I already lost. I don't like this.
Well, you know, the busyness of the season. Oh, I'm Susan Madison. I'm an at-large member. I'm becoming larger with cookies.
We got the cookies. My name is Dr. Carolyn Smith. I am appointed by Joel Anderson, and as of yesterday, I was just reappointed and supported by the board. So happy you're all here. Pretty good.
I'm Jeanette Shelton. I am representing Tara Lawson Raymond District 3, and her office is working on my reappointment.
And who do we have? Jessica.
Hello, my name is Jessica Kramer. I'm appointed by Jim Desmond. And I believe I'll be reappointed, but thanks for pointing that out. I'll have to reach out and check in.
Oh, did you want to have in person?
Sure.
Yes. Yes.
Laura Hansel here, just as an interested citizen.
Happy to have you.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Arnold D. Guzman, County Technology Office. I'll be presenting the agenda for the.
Happy to have you as well.
Thank you.
Anybody else, Cameron or Jasmine, would you like to intro yourself real quick? Or if not, then yes, no, maybe so. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Cameron will be talking later.
Oh,
Hi, I'm Jasmine Trammell. I am a school therapist for Altus Schools, and I mainly work with students with IEPs. So I thought I'd join. This is my first time joining. I just want to see if it'd be a good fit for our program.
can you explain what IEP is?
Individualized Education Plan.
Great, thanks so much. And
then staff is Todd Hood. I am the staff liaison for the Committee for Persons with Disabilities and the Chief Privacy Officer for the county, as well as County ADA Title II Coordinator.
My name is Jaime Monreal. I am a Human Resources Analyst with the Benefits Division, and I'm here to support the committee.
And then we have Cameron Clay online. And Cameron will be presenting. She was our liaison, or the committee's liaison, for the Live Well Advance.
Agenda item number 2, do we have any just cause statement or consideration of a request to participate remotely? Do we have any?
So Jessica Kramer, committee member? Yes. Jessica, what's your request?
My request is an accommodation to join online due to my disability.
Okay. Just to remind you, Jessica, if you will, when you make that request, if you'll do that in advance, we don't want to have to do that on a recorded line, but thank you very much.
I hear you. Thanks, Todd.
And in addition to, just so you know, Jess, you are not part of quorum.
She is under the accommodation.
It's not her. Oh, okay.
Based on
My
what
bad.
you said.
I take that back. Agenda item number 3, we need to vote on our November meeting minutes. Did everybody get the email and have an opportunity to take a look at the meeting minutes from last month? And if yes, if no? Comments, questions, concerns? Hearing none, anybody want to place a vote for me?
I move we approve the November meeting minutes as written.
I second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say no. Abstains? No. Thank you very much. Agenda item number 4, this is our non-agenda comments. Members of the public may address a county issue not elsewhere on this agenda. Each speaker may take up to 2 minutes. Speakers may be limited to less time if several speakers have requested to speak on the same issue. The Committee for Persons with Disabilities is prohibited by the Brown Act from acting on or voting on any issue that is not already on the agenda unless deemed to be urgent. Do we have any non-agenda public comments?
I just wanted to announce to everybody, I believe Todd sent it to the members, there's a silence equals violence Zoom webinar put on by the ARC tomorrow from 1 to 3 on Zoom. People with disabilities and aging are higher risk than non-disabled and younger folks of violence. And so wanted you all to participate. It's free, of course, and I have information if you want me to forward you the email. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online? Have anybody here going, gone, sold? All right, now comes the fun times. We have Mr. Arnold Guzman from Enterprise Wide Website Restructure. Wow, that's a name. Okay. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, all. We have a presentation being shared. Right?
Oh, yes, sorry.
No problem. While Todd's pulling that up, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to present to you all this afternoon. Enterprise-wide website restructure. Basically, it's going to be our redesign for San Diego. So we'll be talking about the opportunities through this presentation. All right, perfect. Yeah, we can stay there.
Okay.
So just a quick introduction, just about myself. I'm Arnold Guzman. I'm a technology manager with a county technology office, overseeing our digital experience team. We are a mighty team of 3, who consists of a communications expert, content design, search engine optimization expert as well. And yeah, we're working on redesigning our website. As far as me, for my background, I'm born and raised in San Diego. Actually will be 19 years celebrating my career here with the county in a couple of weeks, and actually began working with our Health and Human Services Agency. Bulk of my time here has been with County Communications, when we centralized our media offices. Afterwards, I spent 4 years with our Land Use Environment Group, doing IT in our Executive Management Office, and then shortly after I joined the County Technology Office in 2021. As far as the products that I've worked on through my career here, I've worked on an employee intranet, also called Insight, our public-facing website, which I'll be talking about today for San Diego County.gov, as well as mobile apps that we rolled out to the public through the SD Emergency mobile app, as well as our Land Use Environment Group's Tell Us Now mobile app. And then a really big product that I'm proud of is our CountyNewsCenter.com, where we share a lot of our news and information for public through that new site. Next slide. So I want to start off with setting the stage with the county's commitment to digital accessibility. And with that, we have our digital experience standards. And our digital experience standards is a governance body with representatives from each of our 4 business groups. So that's Services Agency, Land Use Environment Group, Finance and General Government Group, as well as our Public Safety Group. And with this governance body, we issue standards for our various digital products, whether it be websites, mobile apps, things of that nature. And those standards include optimizing results for the search engines, right? The experience for our customers through there, as well as the performance of a website. So it's for folks who have low bandwidth connections. We want to ensure that the delivery is there for them. But pertinent to today's presentation will include digital accessibility as one of our standards. So we have our Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, also referred to or pronounced WCAG or WCAG. Those are actually brought to us by an international organization called the World Wide Web Consortium, or W3C. And they have a working group called the Web Accessibility Initiative. And through that initiative, they've developed several guidelines. I believe we're at about 78 success criteria so far, and it's divided up in different levels. So for us, our standard is WCAG 2.1 level AA. As far as the levels go, they go to AAA. So it's A, AA, AAA, but we are standardizing at AA. Okay, so that's one of the standards that we require of our products here in the county. Another one of our standards includes readability. And readability, what we mean by that is we need to make sure that our content is easy for people to understand. Plain language, or also referred to as plain English, makes our website accessible to everyone and improves translation into other languages. So it ties in very closely with our board language access policy, A139, of ensuring that their content can be made available in multiple languages. That's a readability standard. And then the last standard that we have there is requiring training for all of our authors. And so with that training for Web Content Basics, it includes instructions around digital accessibility, such as including alt text for images, right? So we describe what an image is for folks who are using screen readers on the website. That alternative text is going to support that. As of now, we have over 230 of our active web authors trained through this basic training, and it's required for those who are granted access to update their department web pages. So we kind of bake that into the workflow. Other activities to support the commitment to digital accessibility, County Technology Office work closely with our Department of Purchasing and Contracting to update the contract template to ensure that these digital experience standards, including accessibility and whatnot, are part of procurements or for IT procurements. So if there's a vendor and the solution that they are working towards includes a website or a mobile app, we want to ensure that that accessibility is baked right in. Some other activities for us earlier this year, we've established our Digital Experience Champions program. Right now, we have over 50 staff who are dedicated and are very passionate around the digital experience for the county. We meet monthly, and for example, last month's agenda, we actually had demonstrations of digital accessibility tools and how we can use those in our browsers or even on our county issued devices or laptops. We can use the screen readers and accessibility tools that are baked right in, right? Just so we can get an idea of our websites and how the screen readers are interpreting them. Let's see here. And then I will round off this commitment with the San Diego County.gov redesign, which is really why I'm here this afternoon. Next slide, please. So for our website, San Diego County.gov, we have over 5,000 pages currently in our inventory. And the mission here is to ensure those standards that I spoke to earlier, as well as to provide an interface that is clean and minimal for our visitors. Next slide, please. But it wasn't a business decision, right? We had several feedback received from the customers. I'm just highlighting a few here. Folks were saying that they just want to know where they can get plans or blueprints for a house, right? They're trying to learn our family voting place. They heard it's been moved. They saw something on a web page. They found it frustrating. They went to our general site for contact tracing, and this specifically during the pandemic, because of course we had more majority of our audience visiting our site for those virtual services. So this individual was asking for help. One response to that on the website, they went to click on contact and it didn't connect. They can't reach a live person by phone either. So even going beyond the web experience, right? Even ensuring the services are being delivered through the phone as well. And then the last quote here is that they tried several times every day to get an appointment for a vaccine. But it tells them that there are no appointments. When they're 76, they call to 5, what should they do? Right, so this is the feedback that really we want to create actionable improvements for our website. So since that time, we've had research and discovery sessions with the organization. Next slide, please. Yeah, actually, you can see it there.
Okay.
We've worked with our contractors and the county team to develop mock-ups, right? And which got us to that clean and minimal look and feel that I explained earlier. We work with another design group to refine our mock-ups, really nailing down the responsive design from mobile to desktop. So what I mean by that responsive design, that's a website that where we view it on our laptops today, right? They scale perfectly well on our mobile device. Right now, we only have those two form factors available, but we receive feedback from customers that is missing that tablet view as well. So with this redesign, we're ensuring that tablet breakpoint as well. So with the templates, we're expanding from the one template that departments have access to today to over 15 templates. And that's going to contain several sections and components that's going to help us transition to our services focused website. So here's a snapshot here of the new county homepage that we're working towards. Again, the clean and minimal look and feel, really focusing on the services right there at the top of the page. You'll notice little highlights and outlines around the button. That is to demonstrate the clickable state or the keyboard navigation as folks will tab through and then make sure that it's in logical order. And really also tying it well with that multi-lingual strategy that I mentioned earlier. As long as the text is clickable and highlightable on page, all that free text is going to be translatable as well. So we're working towards that. This next little video clip here is just a quick demo and run through our services template. If you can click on that, I think that'll go
on this mobile.
Yeah, see if that works. Oh no, it's okay. We can stay on that. That's the snapshot. So we want to be services focused with our new website. And what I mean by that is we want to make sure that we reduce the cognitive load, right, for the experience of our customers, making it very, very clear, what is that task that they're trying to accomplish. Through this video clip here, if you can access it after, there's, demonstrations of the buttons, showing the primary action is highlighted. And then if there's any secondary action, then that's also we can tell the differences between those. And then we have various elements and layouts that includes a step-by-step process. Again, just making it clear for the customer what it would take to accomplish the service. Next slide, please. So earlier this year, the Department of Justice published the final rule updating its regulations for Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And what that rule entailed is requiring the same WCAG 2.1 level AA accessibility standards for state and local government websites as well as apps. So the great thing about that is the same accessibility standard that we've already employed in the organization. For as far as timing goes, they are making this effective April 2026. That means is starting April 2026 going forward, all their content, all of the experiences for websites, apps, and whatnot should conform and adhere to those WCAG standards. For us, we've been using a tool by the name of Site Improve, which actively scans our websites and pages, and it reports back where our accessibility is for those websites. And beyond accessibility, it also provides, quality assurance, making sure that there's no broken links on our website. It's a really good tool to help us manage and maintain. Through the vendor of Site Improve, we are engaging them for some additional professional services, right? So their automated tool that scans our websites can really, accomplish and verify about 30 to 40% of those WCAG standards that we have available to us through that level AA. I'll go and speak up there. And so for the remaining standards and success criteria, the vendor, as well as a lot of these other vendors in the same space, they do acknowledge that manual testing is required of these various products. So that's going in to ensure that we can, we have the keyboard navigation, when we zoom in on an element or a component, that it scales well, you know, for that. And then for screen reader test, right? These are things that automated testing can't really ensure. We'll need a manual test for that. Through this engagement with the vendor, they'll also be building up an enterprise success plan for the organization, as well as a training framework. So how can we ensure digital accessibility for the county going forward and sustain that? That is part of that agreement. And as far as the training framework goes, that is providing additional courses, not just around accessibility, but also some other fundamentals related to site enhancements. So this engagement is going to occur the beginning half of the next calendar year, so January and June 2025. Next slide, please. So as far as the next steps for that engagement, we're going to have a kickoff in January, which we invited Todd Hood as our county's Title II coordinator to participate in, and really just kind of understand where we want to start, where we want to set our objectives. And then we're also establishing a process to submit for that manual testing as a service, and then communications around Site Improves Learning Center. So next slide, just want to give you a quick glimpse of what that learning center offers. On the screen here, this is a screenshot of the tools and training courses that are filtered to that accessibility topic. Some examples of courses include accessibility for content contributors, accessibility for designers, as well as web developers. So it's not just the front end, or it's not just the layout and design. There is also a need for knowledge for web developers as they produce these products. And the modules also cover fundamentals of digital accessibility for generating documents or even images. So it's a great collection of resources that is going to be available for our staff. Next slide, please. I do want to go ahead and plug a digital accessibility fair that we are planning to hold next year. Right now, we have the County Operations Center in Kearney Mesa booked for Tuesday, May 13th. And this is that same week as the Global Accessibility Awareness Day. So that's the third Thursday of May. So this accessibility fair is just in time for that awareness day. But who we've included, we're targeting staff as far as audience goes. We're connecting with our Diversibility Employee Resource Group, as well as our Human Resources Diversity and Inclusion contacts. So the goal for this fair is really just to provide that awareness, right? Awareness around digital accessibility. We'll have presentations, ideally some subject matter experts to review, you know, the websites. Folks can come in. We'll have various booths, and then really hopefully having an empathy lab. So next slide, an empathy lab. This is a photo from gov.uk. They refer actually as an empathy bar. So on the screen here, we have a couple of laptops or various laptops on this table. Folks can walk up, staff specifically open to all governments, and really they can experience what it's like to have various disabilities. This was inspired actually by Facebook's Empathy Lab, and it's dual purpose, right? Again, we want to raise awareness about accessibility, but also have it as an assistive technology testing space, right? Next slide. Here's a closer view of Gov UK staff using the Accessibility Lab. On the left are goggles that simulate different visual impairments. Hanging on the wall there are Sound Defender headphones to simulate loss of hearing. And then the laptop the individual is using demonstrates what the colors of a website would be for those with color blindness or requiring high contrast settings in the operating system. So again, so the goal is to have all these experiences available and tools at this digital accessibility fair. Next slide, please. So what do we need from you? The hope is that we and encourage participation in our fair. So by this committee or by any of the interested audiences, really for subject matter experts, as I mentioned earlier, to host those booths, as well as what we need from you, feedback on the development and accessibility testing for San Diego County.gov and our redesign. We plan on working with our community engagement manager to publish this project, so we can engage the community that way. And then if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to us at digital@county.ca.
So thank you so much for that. And I have a couple questions for Ray. I'm sure others may. And forgive me if it kind of goes into a list or whatnot, but
Sure.
a couple things I don't see is, are you using an open dyslexic font anywhere? I have a cognitive brain issue from a roadside mom.
Yes.
So when I see digital content, I encourage the use of open dyslexic font so that those with any kind of cognitive issue will be able to interact. Because more often than not, if the child, for example, has dyslexia,
Sure.
then it forces somebody else to read that for them. I may have written a book that I used open dyslexic in, so I'm personally intimately familiar with this. If you guys want to work on that,
Yeah.
I'd love to give you some advice on it, because the feedback I had gotten is that a parent had said, you know, your book was the first book I've ever been able to actually read to my child, because he was the one with dyslexia, not his child. Right? So I would just encourage you guys to kind of look into that font
Yes.
and consider it for dyslexia. The other thing I want to say is, in your empathy lab, did you recognize that there is no accessibility in that frame that you showed for anybody in a wheelchair? Right? So part and parcel of disabilities are obviously the ones you see and the ones you don't see. So the hearing and the visual and all of those things, but what about an amputee or a chair
Right.
or, you know, a host of other things? And this committee would love to work with you guys on that, because you wouldn't think I'm 100% disabled, but I am. And everybody else has all these different things that they can give to you that you maybe not would have considered, because disabilities are different if you actually live with them every day.
Agree.
Right? And the other thing I wanted, just as you may want to interact with the VA,
Okay.
right? Because San Diego now, we used to be the second largest VA, or second largest in veterans and active duty. We're the largest now that I think Norfolk had shut down. So I would hope that you would partner with the VA, because I suspect that they have digital accessibility, because
Sure.
their customers are disabled folks. Right? And that's one of the partners that when people come to present to us, I'm always so surprised that the VA isn't part of that partnership. So I would love to help you with that if you guys need help with that. And then the other thing I would say is, I had gone on to your page a couple of days ago. I was helping a Vietnam veteran try and maneuver around which programs that San Diego County has, right? It would benefit the community to have a synergized page that kind of spidered out to all of the programs that they would be able to have. Does that mean you could do that? It's a lot of work, right? Because you have a legacy system and you're trying to upgrade your legacy, right? I'm in critical infrastructure, so I totally understand your IT workload that you're gonna have. But even somebody who has maneuvered around your website for quite a while, I gave up.
Yeah.
So any of the programs, the weatherizing programs, all of those things, good luck trying to find it.
Sure.
So I'm glad that you guys are updating. I see your uphill battle, because it is a legacy
It is.
system that you're updating.
Yes.
But everybody here would love to help. So, let us know what you need. And then again, for your event coming up, I'd really reach out to the VA.
Will do.
Yeah,
Great suggestion.
absolutely.
Anyone else?
No, I'll just make a couple comments. Thank you so much for the presentation. As a former, county employee, and as a former, well, as an actual, current, community member that visits the website every so often, I'm so happy that it's being redesigned because it's insane. The amount of information, the amount of pages, and just the, the aesthetics, obviously, but I think, just from the look of it, the redesign is looking a lot more, user friendly, and that translates to also people with disabilities. So I'm really excited about that. I think, one of the questions I have, will actual people with disabilities, test some of the, accessibility features?
Yes, yeah, that's the goal. Part of our research going into looking at our team members and met with Center for the Blind and some individuals, getting some feedback from our actual website, right? And there's overlays and there's various things on the page, and he had asked him, well, are you aware of this? And there was something off to the side, right? And just didn't come up on the screen reader. It's like, I had no idea that was even there, right? So that's great feedback for us to ensure, again, that the text is available, that we're following the guidelines and the standards to ensure things like screen readers are picking up on all those various elements on the page.
Can't wait to see the final product.
To share.
Thank you very much for coming. I have a few things. You guys have videos on your website?
Do.
And are those captioned?
That's the goal. Yes, that's part of
All
the
of them?
standard. I don't know about 100%,
Yes.
but that's, if I understand the guidelines correctly, that's part of the AAA, unfortunately, like,
It is.
AAA,
It is.
guidelines, which I can understand why the DOJ is probably capping it at AA, right? Because of the amount of effort that's required to go into it. Unfortunately, I mean, I would totally support those captioning for our
Yeah.
thing, right?
It's
Sue,
very,
with that,
very hard.
with that, I did, it was probably a year and a half ago now. We noticed, and we were working with county communications on that particular topic. And they started at that point, looking at the videos that are on that county communications is responsible for,
Okay.
and looking at the readership or viewership and prioritizing those items that would be most critical, probably be most used by the public. One of them, which was interesting, was parking and how to park at County Administration Center. And actually, the challenge was that, yes, they were captioned, but the captioning, quality of the captioning was questioned because there were no punctuations. So it was one long sentence and it kept going. So they went through and started, again, prioritizing the videos. And because I did go through and check and saw the quality was much better based on that. So that is an action that at least County Communications has taken on. So
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's a real big, hard one.
It is.
And the other question I had was about the screen reader, the document portion.
Mhm.
When you said there's 50 people that meet every month,
Mhm.
is that, I assume, across all the departments or the major ones, or?
It's selective. It's folks that are interested in this program. We don't mandate it by any means, right? We
Okay.
do have content authors and representatives. We have what we refer to as content leads from each department. But yeah, I mean, specific to the Digital Experience Champions program, the goal there really was to take a lot of the efforts and knowledge that we're kind of harvesting and making sure that it gets out there in the organization, right? So it's just really grassroots and trying to grow from there.
Okay, good. And so then what I understood later from you is that there's people who can put, and I come from the city of San Diego.
Yes.
After retirement now, but there would have to be a guard if you will, for the person who says, I got it. We're posting this on our department's website. Who oversees that to ensure before they're up, or is there?
The processes vary by departments, right? So it can go to various supervisors or managers. I think it's some departments even at the director level before items are posted or updated to their websites. Bodies like these or committees like these, I know that we work closely with the county staff to go and publish agendas and minutes and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
so we put stuff up on our web for this committee. So is that us doing that? I mean, it's
I
not.
do that, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. And so, something came up recently, it's very relevant. Because I had sent out an email and and it was great, Todd caught it, and the email was accessible. But the, attachment in a PDF was not. So he said, okay, I can send it out because the email gave all the information. So do we have instructions about how, because there used to be an easy way
yeah.
to make a PDF for screen readers. Is everybody tracking with that?
Yeah.
That's really old information, but.
Yeah, so through the chair, yes, PDFs is acknowledged even with the Department of Justice ruling, right? One of the reviews from that rule included ensuring that we have a plan or strategy around PDFs. For us, for our guidance, that what we're saying is, if at all possible, if it can live in a web page, that would be the best, right? Is we can ensure that the screen readers, as well as the multilingual translator, right? So the Google Translates of the world, right, can make sure that it reads as well, because that is a gap for any documents or PDFs. So ensuring that we can make it available on the webpage, that will make us even more accessible for our content. As far as the staff of supporting that, that's going to come out of this engagement that I spoke to earlier, right? When we have an enterprise success plan and a training framework, making sure that we have, the page on our intranet available to all staff and the guides and connecting them to, here's what you need to do to ensure that your document is accessible. Some of the templates that I referred to earlier of over 15, one of those templates even include what a meeting, presentation would look like, right? How is it advertised as an event on our webpage? And then post meeting, how do we collect and deliver those minutes to that meeting? So ensuring that that's all part of the delivery.
Okay, great. And then there's, I assume, like a statement somewhere about if this is not good for you, let us know. And it's a person that's real and there.
Yes.
Great.
Yep.
Kudos.
We have a language and accessibility statement.
Yeah,
that-
yeah. Language and accessibility.
And Chair, the member Kramer has her hand up.
Yeah, before, just so I can, for your closed captioning, you may want to consider a vendor. There's like rev.com, there's a plethora of vendors that provide real-time closed captioning. And some vendors even have it where it's almost like, when they fact check, a social media platform allows you to kind of put that in.
Yeah.
That actually, there's multiple options and multiple layers in accordance to how your partnership is with your vendor to provide that closed captioning. So if you're already going with vendors anyway, you may want to add one more vendor to do the closed captioning, because then you would be, way ahead of that curve. Because I reached out to the DOJ for their WCAG, and I said, hey, your gap is you don't have open dyslexic. Because if you don't have dyslexia, you wouldn't notice the font difference, but if I had it, I would.
Yes.
Right, so I'm already working with them to close the gap for that. So you guys would be ahead of the curve by finding a vendor that does your closed caption. And your closed caption is predicated off the AI process with customer input feedback, if that's one of the options you guys have, right? It's almost like updating a Wikipedia or something.
Correct.
Gotta be a little careful because people will put like not so nice stuff, like whatever.
Right.
But I would recommend you guys find a vendor.
Okay. We'll look into it.
Now I have one more so the training, the manual testing, Alberta brought it up, it's people with disabilities, and I heard you skirt quickly, but it's people that are blind and visually impaired that are ACE web users.
Yes,
You're tapping into those people
right.
and people that are deaf, hard of hearing, for that accessibility
Yes,
and,
Cognitive, I hope.
yes,
plain language, that's hard.
yes, it is.
And do you have like a magic little one pager on how to do that?
Well, we reference a lot for plain.gov or plainlanguage.gov and their trainings we hold, actually, I mentioned earlier, as part of the standard, our communication designer, or content designer, he holds plain language workshops as well. Again, the goal for us is going to be primarily for web design, but the need is there. So really removing all that jargon, I give some statistics here. But I mentioned over 5,000 pages in our inventory, about 1,700 of those pages are reading at the college sophomore level.
Wow.
So to be plain language, you need to bring that down to that 8th, 7th, 8th grade reading level.
And men read at the 3rd grade level.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we've actually even earlier this year did a pilot trying to use AI, right, to kind of help us.
Yeah.
But the trick there is that the content on the page needs to be there in order for AI to process it.
Right.
Or else it's gonna start hallucinating.
You know, the developmental disability community has said for years, give us more pictures. Give us easy things like, you know, less words on a page,
Yes.
more spacing.
Yep.
Colors, you know, contrasting. So you're nodding and I'm just gonna think, yeah, you're on top of it.
Yeah, but one thing I didn't mention is ensuring that we do have a content guide for our web authors as well. Part of the content guide, again, it aligns very well with the plain language guidelines. So yes, chunking information, right, and making very clean and simple.
Yeah.
Removing all the additional syllables that we don't need for those words.
Yeah.
Creating lists of things versus just leaving it in the paragraph. So that's all part of it.
Wonderful.
Awesome. And
Member
then I think
Kramer.
Jessica, yeah. Yeah.
Jessica, would you like to unmute?
Yes, thank you so much. Wow, I'm just loving this conversation. It was a phenomenal presentation. I am vision impaired in a way that is related to neurology and not something that can be improved with like corrective lenses or anything like that. And this is my first year
No, we can
with this
turn on.
disability.
Oh, I'm deaf. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me okay?
No, it's not you. It's not you.
Oh, good. Okay. So this is my first year learning how to navigate having a vision disability. And I've been very humbled in my advocacy prior to this year. I would focus on the disabilities other than the 3 primary, which I always considered to be vision, deaf, hard of hearing, or mobility. And I was always focusing on how we have enough attention on those 3 areas and we need to expand into cognitive and communication disabilities more, including behavioral health. But now that I've been humbled with my own challenges with vision impairment, I can't say enough about how we don't have it under control. And when I see web accessibility, I get a little pinch in my gut because as amazing as web accessibility is, and my fellow committee members' comments were just beautifully on point in ways we could improve. What seems to have happened with web accessibility is that accessibility now means web accessibility. So if you're on any site or any restaurant or anything and you click on accessibility, it goes right to the web guidelines. And what's missing, and this is not to call you out at all, but this is really, I really would love to learn from you. Where have the phone numbers gone? Because even in the end of your presentation, it's an email address. And, what I need from you to be able to engage with you further would be a phone number. So I'm really, really concerned that web accessibility is taking away phone numbers, which means TTY callers and all sorts of different learners. So my request and my dream and my hope of you is 1, help me understand where the phone numbers are going. And 2, what can we do about it? And how can you help ensure that moving forward, accessibility means that you can click on accessibility or you can ask your phone for accessibility. And you click on it or you ask for it, and you can get an actual phone number where you can communicate with somebody who is trained to assist a person with a disability. Thank you so much.
So through the chair, the templates that I demonstrated earlier, what that will do is create a structure for the content on your websites. Right now, it's open for all of our department authors. So they need to figure out, I'm gonna put the phone number here. It might be at the bottom of the page, might be at the top of the page. What we're gonna do with this new system is structure it so that on a department's listing page, we will have those email addresses as well as those phone numbers present. And so if the phone number changes, it's also going to change this other area. So they're all going to be dynamically connected as well. So making that phone number presence consistent across all the pages, again, reducing that cognitive load as our visitors, traverse from one department to another, it's going to be easy for them to find. Taking it a step further, I mentioned the standards earlier, search engine optimization, or how our web pages are presented search results, is part of our foundation as well. So where the phone number is associated to, department or county facility, that is also presented to itself for folks that are searching on Google or for Bing or Yahoo, right? So when we see results of a location, right, there's a website link, there's directions for address. We can follow the structure and the schema and say, this is the phone number, this specific field, and ensure that those web search results are picking that up also. And it's not just the search engines, it's going to be the voice assisted devices. So it's gonna be the Alexas of the world, right? Or, Siri, or going into AI. And having it machine readable is gonna make it also human friendly.
So essentially your IT department is very busy.
We're very busy. Yes, yeah. So yeah, getting foundations in there, but ensuring that we, again, like I mentioned, are being human centered. So that's why we're out here engaging.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Anyone else? Anybody?
Yeah,
online?
I'm sorry, I just want to continue one more question. So are you saying that when you guys move forward with this next level of accessible county websites, that each department or each event or whatever is being put out will have a phone number attached to it as part of like the principle of what we're doing here?
That field is definitely going to be available, and what I'm hearing today is that we're going to highly recommend it for accessibility purposes. So yeah.
Okay. Right now, participating groups have an option to choose it or not choose it.
That is correct. From what I've seen in the inventory, I usually see an email address and phone number. Definitely for departments, and you mentioned TTY earlier, I've seen those options available as well. Any additional ADA accommodations, I know that Todd and the team are available, so we always reference those accessibility statements.
Okay, yeah, so it would be great if we could figure out how to, rather than encourage it, mandate it. I don't know what that looks like, but definitely seems like that's significant because most are not providing phone numbers. That seems to be like the trend and the theme moving forward. Before language accessibility became a thing, I was having a lot of difficulty with, I think it was like my cable company, but when we got around to them asking me, well, what do you need to make this easier for you? I remember saying, they give you like option 1 for this, option 2 for that. And before language accessibility became option 1 or 2 in the last few years, it was a suggestion of mine that there be an option for, if you are a person with a disability needing assistance, press, and it should be one of the first numbers, not the very last number. But I know it seems like a lot to ask for considering we have so many personal preferences now, but the first thing I do when I'm on a phone prompt system, regardless of my vision, because of my primary medical condition, I struggle tremendously with phone prompt systems. I can barely make it through to choose the prompt that I need. And I know I'm not alone in that in the disability community. So once my frustration level peaks and I realize that I'm either going to have to be successful or hang up the line and try again later, I start saying accessibility, ADA, accommodation, any word I can so that the system will pick up the fact that I'm stuck here, just like if I, was stuck at the bottom of stairs. I'm stuck. I can't move forward. I can't cross through this door because there's a barrier in my brain. And I'm trying to find someone on the other line to help me get through that door. And the phone prompt system doesn't recognize any of those terms because they're not programmed in there. So this is a great conversation. Hopefully we can continue it. And if there are any lived experience forums I could participate in, I would really appreciate, you reaching out or through Todd and letting us committee members know exactly how we can be involved. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, that's very important for all of us. So if you can provide, I know that Todd already knows you and has all that info, but
Right.
but there's a lot of us here with some interesting lived experiences that you may or may not have integrated yet and to shorten the learning curve in implementation. I know we'd all love to help you, so please feel free to do a follow-up email to Todd. Todd will send it to all of us, or you can, of course, include us. Because this is a very important, step for the county. And again, I empathize with your replacing the legacy system and how difficult that's going to be anyway. But I appreciate your time being here. And if nobody else has any further, it doesn't look like it. Jaime, we're good to go?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 6 with Cameron.
So this is the Live Well Advance Conference After Action Report. And I think Cameron wanted to also hear from or give the committee members a chance to speak. But Cameron, you can unmute.
Yeah, hi. I just realized that I turned my main light off and now it's extremely dark in here. But I am here.
So you're ghosting us.
I am ghosting you a little tiny bit. So the Live Well Advance. I think our biggest success I felt was that we got 20 people to sign up for more information, which is wonderful. I think overall, we talked with committee members and felt like it was overall a really positive experience. And it was, we got to interact with a lot of members that were there. We got to give away a lot of information, gave away a lot of the candy, gave away a lot of flyers. And I think one of my favorite parts of the whole thing was that the group that was there all had really different strengths. I know Sue and I were talking about that Todd was so good at like pulling people in and use like the charismatic approach, and then like others were really good with like the informative. I was really good at stopping people from grabbing candy without answering a question. They're like, I'm just gonna take a piece, and I'd be like, no, you're not without answering something. So I think we just had a really good like vast skill set there. So I also felt that the Blue Envelope program, it actually worked pretty well, in my opinion, to have them there. And for them to have the giveaways, I felt like was really engaging. And so people who were kind of swinging by one got to talk to the other. And overall, it just was a good synergistic relationship there. I think it also helps that we were near a snack table. So I will in future years be requesting that we're at the snack table again, not just for us, but it allowed more traffic kind of coming by. And so I think we were able to get a lot of people that way. I think in terms of like my, opportunities for growth that I could see was more actually about how just general accessibility issues beforehand and during. I think that there will be some suggestions that we make to the accessibility team in the future, primarily around like contacting. I don't know where Jessica went, but her mentioning phone numbers, I'm glad she said that, because I think we want to move some of that accessibility information to a higher up point in all the communications in future emails, because it was kind of hard to dig through and find accessibility information. So, but yeah, curious to hear from others, your thoughts, feelings. What did I miss? What do we want to celebrate?
I know you guys missed me. I'm sorry about that. My
Sue Sue had her hand up.
Ew, I'm sorry, it decide.
I thought it was great. I mean, you did a great job helping the process. And that's no easy task. I know, I've done stuff like that. It's nasty to be the lead. I think that for me, when I left, I just wanted to share about, because you brought up accessibility, the signage in that place, and I probably did mention it somewhere, is not okay for me at the convention center. At the convention center, come on. And so I'm on this, I'm upstairs. I know I need to take an elevator to get down. So I do that. The elevator's not marked. So I'm wandering around, and I did that coming in as well. So there should always be, like, on the path of travel, like, you know, restrooms, elevators, signage. And when you're in a garage, signage, where's the elevator to the other levels? Where's the accessible spots? You know, that kind of thing generally. And I'm leaving, and now everybody's like cleared out just about. And I'm coming down, I'm on the bottom floor, but I'm in another area, you know, there's A, B.
Oh, the hall.
A, yeah. I'm in a
Exhibit
different
halls.
hall, thank you. And I don't know how to get out to the street. Literally, like where my car was parked down at the Hyatt or Hilton or whatever. So I literally, the guy cleaning up saw me and said, "Can I help you?" And I went, "Yes, I can't get out of your building. I don't know where I am." So we went through this long walk through an empty, there's some double doors that are real heavy. That's hard for me to get through by myself using a chair. And then, I mean, I thought I was in a storage area. So anyway, it's long story short, signage.
Did everyone receive a survey?
Yes.
There was a post-event survey.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that gave me the opportunity to share some of the feedback that we got in our debrief. But certainly feel free to share those experiences. If you didn't already, you probably did. Yeah.
So that's what I got. Thank you for reminding me. Also, just the classic, and I'm sure that was addressed, but all presenters need to know, that if you're gonna show a PowerPoint to an audience, you need to read it all, because you don't know who is in your audience that can't read.
Anybody else? Thank you for that. Anybody?
Jeanette, did you have?
Good Katie, great cops?
Yeah. No, I thought it was really good. Was looking back through my debrief notes and noted problem parking and lunch. What did we say about those very long lines for lunch? And it was sort of unclear. It's not really an accessibility issue, but it was sort of unclear where the lines went. And I mean, it was literally wrapped around the room. So I don't remember exactly. Other than that, didn't note down.
Well, actually, buffets for people using wheelchairs that's beyond challenge. I mean, the way everybody has to do it their own way. But it would have been, there could have been, if you have a conference and you anticipate people with disabilities needing assistance, a floater, if you will, a staff kind of person that just says, "May I help you?" And if you're fine, you say no thanks, but if you need help, I would say, yes, if you could I can hold the plate, but if you could dish for me as I go through, that would be great.
Yeah,
All right.
I agree. I'm writing all these things down and I hope, sorry, I hear an echo of me. I don't know what that is.
Jessica, can you put yourself on mute? Thank you.
Okay. I think that I just really appreciate all of you being so patient and observant and open about this because with it being, what I don't remember, is this like the second year we've done a big one like this and it's my first year? And they changed a lot from last year. And so I think now that we've got one under our belt, I'll be able to do a little better job communicating with the accessibility team and communicate some of these issues and be like, hey, let's change this next year. So yeah, as things come up, just keep me posted. But I took those notes all down and we'll definitely be communicating. And I think I'll know better next year too, what level of involvement I could and should have. So we'll put it that way.
One of the things I just remembered was we talked about Susan's suggestion of us being part of a panel next year, the committee participating in one of the many, many panels that they have. So we have time to work on that, but we shouldn't let too much time go by before we realize it's October again.
Stand, no one else? No.
I just
All
have
right.
I have one thing to say. I wish so much I could have been there, and I know that just because I'm immune compromised and this time of year doesn't mean the whole rest of the world is. So I'm not expecting an accommodation for the conference to be in the summertime. But I am hoping in the theme of phone numbers. I do think that Live Well in general, and certainly the conference could be more accessible with the addition of some phone numbers. Thank you. And I'm so proud of you guys for everything you did.
It was awesome. Everyone did a great job. And I mentioned that I think you had stepped away for a minute, but yes, I'm glad you said the phone numbers thing in the conversation earlier because that was one of the things that I wanted to bring up with the accessibility team is that, hey, in the future, even if it's just for the accessibility portion of things, like, because I can see if they put a phone number out, are they going to get 2,000 people calling them with questions? So how do we filter to people that really need it? And I think just having it as part of accessibility and part of having accessibility be more obvious. That was the thing, one of my big takeaways was in all their communication, accessibility was still hard to get to. And that's kind of the opposite of the whole point. So thank you so much, Jessica. And I will definitely be trying to elevate that.
Thank you, Cameron. We always love having you here and thanks for participating and kind of walking us through. And I'm sure next year will be twice as awesome. So thank you for this year. We're going to move on to agenda item number 7, which is the ADA accommodation interactive process with IHSS and VHS with Jessica.
So, Jessica, what we would like to do is to make a determination of what the next steps might best be. I know that that you have, I believe you spoke with the speaker that presented from IHSS, and I know that she presented, and then I believe you watched the presentation. Were you able to speak with the presenter, or is that a next step?
I don't think I've spoken to anyone, but I don't know if I need to speak to anyone for a next step. I mean, in a way, I'd kind of like to lean into Sue a little bit because really what we're looking at is, we're tasked with communicating to the Board of Supervisors and county departments how all 52 county departments can be more accessible. And I think that there's a lack of ADA interactive process in general. So we decided to focus in on aging and independent services and behavioral health services as the two first departments we could make recommendations regarding the implementation of a robust and friendly ADA active process.
I think you froze. Your bandwidth may have frozen.
I'm not sure If Sue, if you have anything here.
I think
Oh, no. All I'm saying is I'd like to lean into Sue a little bit.
I think the drones got her.
Yeah.
is it possible that maybe, Sue, would you like to reach out to her, or I don't know, let's do-
Where aging and independent services and behavioral service first
Yeah.
lagging, but let me just call in on the.
Yeah, you should just call me because I think it's not clear, and I believe I've stated that at different meetings about, the confusion for me is ADA accommodation interactive process is usually addressed through an employee who is interacting with their employer.
What she's really asking in this particular case, you're right, because an accommodation is the term really used for employment. And it's really more of a modification request
Yes.
to policies and procedures. And I think that's where, but usually, just to answer, well, a couple of things. One, as of yesterday, I was informed that our new ADA policy and procedure has been is implemented. It's actually up on the intranet now, up on the employee intranet, such that, and that does include, it includes some a statement, explicit statements about other powered mobility devices, service animals, that departments should receive and address any request for modification to policies, practices, and procedures, as well as web accessibility. So those statements are now explicitly included in our ADA policy and procedure. So I'll speak to that. And if a resident needs a modification with their interaction with a county department, they should make that request directly to the department. And then the department will make a determination as to whether that request can be achieved or delivered. And if not, then they interact or they enter into an interactive process of determining what solution might meet the individual's needs. So that is now in our policies explicitly stated. Where I think we were going, Jessica, with particular to IHSS, is that there was a question that was posed to the IHSS speaker, and they responded to that request with their current procedure. And I think there were concerns that you had, Jessica, with their response. So I was thinking that to address that specifically, if that concern still existed, but it sounds like there is a thought that there is a broad and general concern with all county departments. And I sort of caution us on that until we have some explicit explicit evidence that there is a concern. But with IHSS and behavioral health services, I would like for us to really be more specific with the concerns that the committee has, and then we can present those to the departments and see if they can do something about it.
Okay. Oh, can I just clarify? Hopefully you guys can hear me stably now on my phone.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So what I'm trying to do is move in the direction that our new chair and vice chair and our new members have taken us, which is how are we going to be communicating recommendations to the Board of Supervisors? So where I thought we were moving was not pointing out to IHSS that there is no ADA interactive process for my and other people that I've engaged with in the community's experience. Same with BHS, Behavioral Health Services. And what I thought we were going to do as a committee with an agenda item moving forward was communicate to the Board of Supervisors using Aging and Independent Services and Behavioral Health Services as two models, which we've pretty much vetted and understand, what compliance looks like in those two. We know that there is not, well, if Todd, things have changed now, then let me just pretend I didn't hear what you said, Todd, and let me just complete this thought, and then we can move it forward with the information you just gave us. But we knew up until today that there was not a direct ADA interactive process with behavioral health and aging and independent. And we were going to, as a team, make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors or possibly to the departments themselves and to the Board of Supervisors. I'm open to how that happens, but to let the Board of Supervisors know that these are the best practices we've established and that this is an issue, and however we're going to communicate to the Board of Supervisors so that both aging and independent and behavioral health services can receive our recommendation as to that ADA interactive process. And if there is one now, then, I think the issue is if let's say if BHS is now doing, oh, come on. Sorry. If BHS now has a protocol like every other county department based on what Todd said, then I would still like to bring forth that there are not people currently hired by BHS that are trained in the duties of an ADA coordinator or are ADA coordinators themselves or who are ADA compliance specialists. And BHS is doing their own compliance for their third-party contractors. And so how can we bring something forth to the supervisors regarding those two particular departments where we can make a recommendation around the ADA interactive process, which is robust in employment, but is missing in like consumer and resident county relations? Like, am I saying that clearly?
Yes, I hear you, Jessica. I'm gonna just intervene if you don't mind, since you called me on it. I think that the policies and procedures that have just been released for ADA is huge. And what I heard was Todd telling us that, and again, this is what I heard, that there is a process and that the person that has the issue can send it in writing to that department and they will respond. And if that is not accepted by the person submitting the request, then the interactive process is a meeting where you do work it out. And so I think nobody else, I'm not sure that anybody else on the committee currently has a need with either IHSS or BHS except for you. And I think that if you can put it in writing to one or both of those departments, we can wait for that process. And I'm not trying to defend anybody, but with my understanding, the ADA is not created with a every person or even every department, which is too bad. But they know who to go to for it. And Todd is nodding his head. That's the way it was at the city, because you have, you know, thousands of staff. So if you could do that.
Yes,
tackle
Sue, the reason we picked those two was because those are the two in which anybody referred in has a disability. It wasn't based on me having a problem with them. It's based on the fact that of the 52 departments, there are only two that we've had presentations from and worked with where we know that every person referred in is a person with a disability.
Oh.
That was to me why we highlighted those two.
Okay. That wasn't clear to me, so I apologize for misunderstanding. And
No.
I think I'm still gonna say, I would recommend if you could put it so that we'll, because that's the process for the interactive process. Yeah.
So perhaps, I'm sorry, there's so much queuing and echoing going on. Forgive me, Sue. But perhaps to move it forward, maybe it sounds to me like we may have had a success with the county improving their ADA processes. And maybe the next step is to receive a presentation on that so we can understand that better and make recommendations. Like, for instance, if somebody needs a accommodation at a mental health facility, who are they sending their request to? You know, how is somebody supposed to find that? Is there somebody, you know, within the department, like, did BHS hire somebody that's trained in ADA coordination? You know, questions like that. Maybe that's how we can be effective moving forward, is understanding, hey, something big changed in the county, let's get educated on it, and then give some feedback once we're educated, because it seems like there has been a big change.
So I'm gonna step in just for a minute. So what I'm thinking, and I've talked to, Jeanette here, what makes sense to me, because we need to move this forward off the agenda. And we need to have a task item. You guys already know me by now. Task, get it done, move forward. So what I would like to see happen is that, Jessica, if you would like, go through the interactive process with each of those committees, or either or. Report back to the committee, did you have success now that they have the new guidelines that are out? And if you had a success, that wipes it, for the most part, from our plate. If you had a hiccup somewhere, instead of asking people to keep presenting to us, people could tell us about this whole process all the time, but that's not gonna lead us. Yeah, it's not gonna, it's not gonna lead us to any, really good suggestions to the Board of Supervisors, which is our goal here. So if you would be so kind, go through the interactive process with IHSS or BHS or both, or either or. And then next month, if you can, provide us with what went right, what went wrong. And then as a committee, we'll go through that, and then we'll do a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, because we're not gonna solve this issue. That is not our task. Our task is to find the gap and fill it with very good information that we have collected and good intel, and then pass that to the Board of Supervisors and let those folks do their job. Right? So just as an advisory committee, we can't keep having these fabulous people come and tell us all this great stuff. We need to find the gaps. So so that we don't keep having agenda item number seven, and offline, you and Sue can have that conversation to further this one along, but we need to task this one out so that we can find the gap. And if there is no gap because of the updated fabulous ADA stuff, outstanding, then it's off the board.
Yeah, it's definitely not off the board, because we don't even understand what this new ADA process is. So there's two
It's
things
not a
happening.
it's not a new process. It is explicitly stating these items to ensure that that employees are mindful of these particular elements. But it's now, we're almost 4:30. And I think based on what the chair has established, I think an action item would be to discuss what best next steps are. We do still have a few things to cover off on. If we could cover off on the disability checklist, I know that was a question, or does that need to be tabled for the future?
I'm gonna ask for that to be tabled so that Jessica and I can have the conversation about that. I know she wanted to splinter off the document I created, the document she created. And instead of, God, I thought that was somebody doing like singing. I was like, wow, that sounds so pretty. So if we could table that, if Jessica's okay with that, just so we don't keep reiterating what we keep reiterating. I'd really like to get 7 and 8 a little bit more dialed in and squared away. So if that's okay with everyone, we're gonna move to agenda item number 9.
Or does Jessica have more on the disability checklist? Is there more direct?
No, I don't have anything else. I think that what I sent to you, Todd, was a very good basic, where I brought it forward was, of course, I think that the committee could be working with Adult Protective Services to improve, these recommendations. But if we want to move it off, then I'm good. I'm ready to move it off. But I'm happy to talk with Carolyn. My service dog's actually alerting me right now, so I'm just going to put myself on mute, let you guys move it forward, and stay on.
Yeah, and I, remind everyone that we're an advisory committee, and so working with would be fantastic. But that's more of an outside exercise with each of us, so we need to kind of come a little bit into the rails or off the rails a little bit and remind ourselves we're advisory, and we need to start ensuring that these really important dialogues that we're having come with a document that goes off to the board of supervisors for recommendations. So
I just have one quick thing to say. I think it's just, I've been definitely moving with this theme of our new chair and co-chair and really getting stuff done, and the recommendation of the commissioner to make sure we're really communicating action item to the supervisors. But the idea of checking everything off as an action item and moving on to the next one is very different from how we've been doing the committee in terms of having an annual strategic agenda and having annual priorities. And so part of what I'm hearing is like a change with that. I think that's why I'm a little confused. So that's something maybe we can talk about offline, but it would not be abnormal at all to carry a theme through the year based on our strategic priorities. So that's where I'm a little confused, but again, we can talk about that later.
okay, we'll table that and we'll chat offline. So that's good with everybody. We are going to move to agenda item number 9, a vote for our letter of protocol. And I think Jeanette had a fantastic way of explaining that so that everybody.
Did I drop the ball? Was I supposed to put something in writing?
You can speak to it.
Okay. So we have, would like to be able to send, share your ears.
Well, I'm scared.
Just a thank you to our guest speakers without making it a long process. So at our debrief meeting with Susan, Carolyn, Todd, and Jaime and I, we kind of discussed how we would have a template for a letter that Susan, as our secretary, would use. The thank you for presenting on this date, on this topic, etc. Be followed by follow-up that we brought up during the meeting as noted in the minutes. And then unless there was something that the committee needed to discuss further, that Susan would put that letter together. Carolyn would sign it. And it would go out with copies to everybody on the committee, that we wouldn't have 2 months or 3 months of back and forth about getting the thank you, a thank you note done, and then it would just become, you know, an acknowledgement and a thanks,
With follow-up.
with the follow-up items that we hope to hear back from. We hope that they consider, whatever the case may be, as is documented in the minutes.
So the goal is that people read the minutes, if they were here or not here.
Read the
We are
minutes.
really reaching
Oh,
high.
no. But, to put my NCO hat on, that's part and parcel of asking to be a part of the committee is to read the minutes. And if you didn't, start reading them so that this process can be, acknowledged, appreciated, added to, signed. You know, so the person doesn't get a letter 6 months later and they're like, oh, forgot about that.
And the only statement here, just to clarify, is that the committee members would not review the draft of the letter and then vote that the letter can be sent before the letter is sent. So that was the real statement, is that thank you letters would be sent without committee approval, review and approval, but the committee members would, of course, be copied on the thank you letter as it's being sent out. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstains? Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
So with that, Jaime, it basically is thank you letters would be sent without committee review and approval, but committee members would be copied on the thank you letter.
Got it, thank you.
So if you missed something, you should have read the minutes. There's free cookies in a minute.
So the committee business, we have, first off, the annual report to the Board of Supervisors. So that is gonna come from, that annual report will come from me to to the director. And then the director is gonna send that to the board staff, to the chiefs of staff for the board offices. So, that will be going out before holiday, before Christmas.
Great.
And then the bylaws will be, we're looking to be able to, the first meeting in January is already a busy meeting with the ratification of the new board officers, not new board officers, but the re-elections of the board officers, the Board of Supervisors. So we're looking to hopefully be able to get in on the second board meeting to get the board, the bylaws for the committee for persons with disabilities, to get that voted on and approved by the Board of Supervisors in January.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
And then committee election. The timing that we're,
Right, so our committee elections actually happen in January. Right, and then
I think the
or the
nomination.
nominations are in
Nominations,
January.
right.
You know what? And I just leaned over and secretly told her, right? So start thinking if you would like to be on executive staff, all the positions, I think excluding secretary, or was that interim fill?
Yeah, that was just interim,
Yeah,
so
okay.
everything would be.
So start thinking if you're interested in chair, vice chair, secretary. And we will have nominations in January and then elections in February. So start thinking if you'd like to become part of this awesome executive staff
And we do continue to work to to work on additional members for the committee. We've received a few applications, and will be pushing for the committee or for the board offices to review those applications and then to have discussions with the applicants and hopefully pretty soon include some more appointments
So-
in the gym.
The ones we met at the
Yes.
live well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we gonna get those before elections? Cause I think that would be important if somebody wants to serve on the executive staff. I know Jeanette was just saying she's turned out, right? Yeah, so we don't,
Turned out as vice chair.
Oh,
I'm sad face. But doesn't even mean I'll be chair again, so what do I care? I do love the slot, but.
well, if you're turned out as vice chair, I guess you could go for chair. So, but your question is a great question, and I wish I had the magic 8 ball.
I know when I talked to D3 about my reappointment, they said they're working on getting somebody approved for that district.
And again, if you didn't know, I was reapproved, in, the last board of supervisors meeting, was it unanimous? That would be cool.
It was under consent, so.
Oh, yeah, okay, somebody said no, no.
No, nobody.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
So
good
the,
chair on
but-
individual things.
No.
But each, except for D4, each of the districts have an open spot. So please speak with your district supervisor staff and see if we can,
I know that my district is not filling another one. I know that they don't have an intent, I think. But then there was an email I got. I have to reread it.
oh, they're planning to not make an
Yes,
appointment.
I don't know. But I just got it the other day and I didn't respond to it, but I quickly read through it. So I'll have to reread it, and obviously things can change from Monday to Tuesday. So that's what I say. I'm on espresso. This is what happens.
If that is the case,
Everybody knows.
if that is the
You know
case,
that.
please respond back to that email and say, that is not acceptable.
Yes.
There's an ordinance.
Yes, okay, so again, please consider yourself, if you're interested in, chair, vice chair, and secretary, and keep that in the back of your mind. Moving on to agenda item number 11 for new business, Office of Emergency Services.
So we are in discussion with the Office of Emergency Services about scheduling them. They are looking at potentially February, but we'll see. And then I'll let Jeanette want to speak to Falk.
Right, so Laura Lee Oleg will be coming to speak with us in January about the CPR AED training that Falk is doing for people with disabilities.
And I want to say I did this course with Falk, the last iteration, out in Alpine at their library, I believe, and it's fantastic. They had this fantastic, sign interpreter man, and he was, you see on those programs and the interpreter person's like super animated, that was him, so it made it really entertaining. But then I sometimes forgot what the person was saying, because I was so used with the interpreter guy. It was kind of funny, there was a couple people that came and had no disabilities, and they're like, we just wanted a free AED course, CPR course, and kudos to Falk, they said, hey, look, I appreciate it, but you kind of have to go.
This is our focus.
Right, because,
Yeah.
and I understood what they were saying, because if you have able-bodied, that it is a totally different environment. I loved having everybody in a CPR certified class, AED class, are super important. But I get why this was specific, and it was also on a grant, right?
That's-
So they have to be,
exactly.
they really have to be thoughtful. And I thought it was very thoughtful of how they were using taxpayer money appropriately and not just letting anybody come in, right? Because they learned a lot for some of the folks that couldn't hear anything, and the speakers were not speaking at them. So I think Falk learned something too. So it's a
Awesome.
fantastic class. If you can attend, I think it's fantastic.
So she will be speaking on some of their programs that they've got. We won't have, she did offer to do a demonstration, but I don't believe the forum and venue will present that to be done equitably for people who are dialing in.
Yeah, because it's done on the floor. Yeah, for the most part.
Who ships like
Oh,
That's-
you guys left
You
without
missed your
me.
boat.
Yeah. So this is the part of the day where we brought cookies for your enjoyment. I worked really hard on picking mine up from Vaughn's. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. We will meet again in January. Please come back in January, new person, if you're interested. We'd love to have you here. And I appreciate everyone being here. Thank you for helping us throughout the year, and look forward to next year. So with that and nothing else, I'm going to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
I did cook, so y'all better be cooking.
I was-
Oh.